Forward Live. This is the podcast or the live stream where we talk about real solutions to real things that you deal with. It's all about real shit, practical things that you can use on a day to day basis. Because I always say that if it ain't useful, it ain't useful, right? If it's not practical, it's not useful. And I want to make sure that I'm being a good steward of your time. So I want to make sure that you're getting something from this, that this is something that you can use. And so today I want to talk about something, and I have a practical example. Uh, what do you do when you have something to do that you don't want to do? And we all face that. We all have to deal with when there's something that we need to do and we just don't want to do it. Now, before I get started, Mark Twain, I believe it's Mark Twain that said this, that if you eat a live toad first thing in the morning, the rest of your day can't be that bad. Now, I love animals and I'm not advocating eating frogs or eating toads, but you get the point that if you knock out the most difficult things first, then the rest of the day is kind of downhill. You're coasting, right? And this is something that I've learned, that one of the things that I absolutely hate doing is answering email. Email is like the bane of my existence, whether it be for work, whether it be personal, whether it be for social media. It's like the inbox is my private hell. And so the first thing that I do every day is I knock out the email. Well, let me see. Let me backtrack, because the other thing that I hate to do is I hate doing cardio. I'd rather lift weights. If I have to work out, I'd rather lift weights. I hate doing cardio, but one of the things that I'm getting in the habit of doing is going outside and doing some cardio now that the weather is better, and getting that done, knocking that out first thing in the morning so that I don't have to deal with it for the rest of the day. And then I go to email. And so, but email is kind of a constant thing as far as work is concerned. So I have to deal with that on a regular basis. But watch this. Today, I was prepared to do this show an hour ago. But what happened was I got a call from work. And the call was basically, well, okay, just get it done sometime today, no hurry. Now, you have to understand that sometimes when people say get it done sometime today, no hurry, they really mean get it done yesterday. And you have to learn to translate that, right? You have to learn to understand what that actually means. But what I chose to do was to I opened up my work laptop, and I went on ahead and I knocked out exactly what I had to do. Got it done, reviewed it with a colleague. It's done. I shouldn't have anything else to do until tomorrow morning, Monday morning, right? So I've knocked out the difficult part of my day. Then yesterday, yesterday I had to clean the dining room. Now we moved into this house about a year and a half ago, and we're mostly unpacked, and but there's still some areas where we have stuff lying around that's out of place, and it can be handled better. So I'm going through the dining room, and I'm moving things around so that space is just, it's the dining room. And you have the formal table, the china hutch, and all of that, and just getting it to a point of peace. Okay. And now my office is another thing altogether, right? Because it's it's clutter. I'll just be honest. But the point is getting those things done. So there were a lot of other things that I wanted to do yesterday besides cleaning the dining room, but I made that the first thing that I did so that once it was done, it was out of the way, done, right? So you're going to have things that you don't want to do. And that's just life. And some of these things that you don't want to do, so you can divide them into two categories. Things that I don't want to do, that I don't have to do, and things that I don't want to do that I have to do. And so I want to deal with these two separately because I want to deal with the latter first. Things that you don't want to do that you have to do. Those are the things that you need to, I mean, when you're making your to-do list, and I highly recommend that you do this. Over here to my left, you can't see it, but I have a whiteboard. And on my whiteboard, I put all of my daily tasks on there. And I program my day ahead of time and I put it on the whiteboard so it's the first thing I see when I come into my office. Set up the things that you don't want to do first. Knock those out. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes the things that you don't want to do are repetitive tasks, or they're recurring. And what you have to do is you have to say, okay, that in my time slicing, as I go through my day, at the top of every hour, I'm going to knock out something from this list of things that I don't want to do that I must do, and keep that going. That way, you basically what you're doing is you're chunking your day. So now you're saying, okay, in every hour, I have 60 minutes of things, 60 minutes that I can do things. So I'm going to take the first 5 or 10 minutes and knock out these things that I don't want to do so that the rest of my hour is better, right? And what you're going to find is that you'll find that most of your day will be better by taking on the things that you don't want to do. Another thing too is that we're approaching the first of the month, and the first of the month is bill paying time. I really hate I hate bill paying time, but I've conditioned myself and programmed myself that basically on the last day of every month, I queue up everything that has to be paid on the first, mortgages and credit card bills and things like that are due on the first. And I set this up so that I can knock it down, knock it out, and the rest of my first is always pretty good, even though it's bill paying day, and I hate paying bills. But if you set this up in such a way that the things that you don't like, you're knocking those things out. Now, here's the other thing. The flip side of that is that there are things that you don't want to do that you don't have to do. And what I would recommend is that most of the time, if it's something that you don't have to do, that you don't want to do, just don't do it. Strike it from your list, and file this under things that you don't need to do. But one of the things that you can do to challenge yourself is to take on things that you don't want to do, that you don't have to do, because it will help condition you. It'll help you develop a mindset, develop a toughness that says that, okay, that when I encounter something that I need to do, and I have to do it, then I could just go on ahead and knock it out. I mean, basically what you're doing is you're getting yourself conditioned to deal with those things that you don't want to do. And everybody, I'm telling you, everybody has things that they don't want to do, that they don't like doing, but you have to do it. And you have to develop a certain mental toughness and a mental agility. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago about having mental agility. You have to be able to be flexible to adapt to things, because not everything, sometimes what you want to do may turn into something you don't want to do. Like, for example, I love to write. And I also love doing these live streams. But there are times when, because of situations, circumstances that are going on in my world, I don't want to do that, even though it's the thing that I want to do. Does that make sense? So I have to push myself to do these things, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to sacrifice the things that I love on the altar of the things that I don't. It's really, really important stuff here. And again, you will get calls at work, or you'll get a call from a family member, or something will go on with one of your kids or with your spouse or something, and you'll be like, oh fuck, I really don't want to deal with this. But if you go ahead and if you say, okay, I'm going to make this a priority, I'm going to knock this out, what you'll find is One of the things that you'll do is you'll develop a sense of prioritization, and your to-do list will become clearer. You'll have a better sense of the things that you need to do. You'll have a better sense of programming your day, because now you've conditioned yourself to basically eat the toad first thing in the morning. And I can't tell you how important this is, or how this will help you. This will help you. And I know this because this helped me, because I used to be Mr. Procrastination. I, I would put things off, bill paying, I'd put that off, or answering emails, I'd put that off, dealing with making difficult phone calls, I'd put those off, and I'd put things off. And what happens is that when you put the difficult off, the difficult has a cumulative effect. It has a way of snowballing, and it becomes something even bigger, and then it becomes messy, because now you have a bigger situation to deal with that you don't like, and now this is going to consume even more of your day. This is the funny thing, that good things, for some reason, things that you want to do, good things, they don't have a cumulative effect. They're pretty much in the moment, right? But bad stuff, difficult stuff, challenging stuff has a way of building, and it builds not only volume, but it also builds velocity. It builds momentum. And all of a sudden you're up against a juggernaut of shit that you just don't want to be bothered with. And then that's where you start getting depressed, because you feel overwhelmed. You feel like you're being overtaken by these things that you don't want to do. And that's when life gets difficult. So the idea is, the whole point behind this is to try to keep things from getting too difficult. Because honestly, life is never going to be completely easy. Life is never going to be completely stress free, but you can do practical things, proactive things that will help mitigate the stresses of life. And that's really powerful. And the thing is that really it is completely in your hands, because we cannot control the things that happen to us. We can't control things that come our way. That life comes at you like a freight train. But how you react to it is everything. So again, the whole point of this exercise is an exercise in time management, it's an exercise in prioritization, and it's also an exercise in mental agility and mental toughness. Because if you get all of these things, then when life comes at you, what you're going to do is the very difficult thing, the hard thing that you have to deal with, you're going to put that on the front burner and deal with that. Get it out of the way. Knock it out. Knock it out, so that this is not an issue for you. I can't stress that enough. Now, here's what I want to know from you in the comments, for people that are watching. What are some of the things that you do to deal with difficult situations? How do you program your day? How do you prioritize what you need to do? I'd really like to know. And here's the thing, that when you put this in the comments, you share it with others, not only are they hearing how I'm handling things or what my thoughts on there, people hearing your thoughts, and you get a chance to help someone else. And let me tell you something, that, friends, is the true measure of success. It's not getting things for yourself. It's like, for me, I can learn something, and I can adapt something, or program something into my life, and this makes me better. And that's great. But when I'm able to do that same thing and share it with someone else to help them achieve success, or to achieve the success that I'm achieving, or more or greater, that's even better. And this is another thing. I'm going to talk about this too, is like in another show. What is the true meaning of success? Because honestly, most people, most people don't really understand success, what it really means, because again, most people will say money, and that's another another conversation for another topic time, right? But in the meantime, what I want to talk about is the difficult things. The difficult things. What are the most difficult things that you have to deal with? Not just how do you deal with it, but what do you consider difficult? What is a challenge for you? Those are things that I'd like to know. What are the things that challenge you? And again, what you're doing is you're putting your information out into the cyberspace, and you're allowing other people to see how someone else deals with a difficult situation. Another thing that that I don't like to do is I don't like doing dishes. I don't. And normally our kids take care of that. Normally. Normally. But sometimes that gets out of control. And at that point, it becomes incumbent upon me to go in and basically stand in the gap and make sure that the kitchen is clean, because one of the things, my wife, she doesn't deal with a dirty kitchen. So if the kitchen isn't clean, she's not cooking. And if she's not cooking, we're not eating, unless we're, doing frozen shit, right? So I like to have meals that are prepared by my wife. So I want to make sure the kitchen is clean. So I either put pressure on my kids, which I try not to do, because I don't want to be the dick dad. And that's another thing too, talking about parenting. But I want my kids to understand responsibility, but I want them to understand that, hey, I'm not riding their ass to get anything done, right? So that's one of the difficult things that I deal with. So when I see that, if I see that the kitchen is becoming overrun with dishes, then that means it's time to unload and load the dishwasher. Or there may be a pot that needs to be scrubbed. Like whenever you make spaghetti, y'all know when you make spaghetti, the sauce burns a little bit and sticks to the bottom, and you got to scrape that shit out. Well, that's one of those things that I hate doing. But if I know that if I want to have meat sauce done some other time, either the kids are going to do it or I've got to do it, right? So that's another one of the difficult things. I'm trying to think of what else, what else, what else, what else. Um, so let me talk about this, right? That there are a lot of things that we like doing. For example, when it comes to exercise, I like strength training. I like lifting weights, or I like doing body weight exercises. I like doing those kind of things. But I told you I didn't like cardio, but one of the things that I do is a in my exercise program, I can't do strength training unless I do cardio. So there's basically a sign in the gym in the house that says, did the cardio get done? And if the cardio didn't get done, that means you don't sit your ass down on the bench and start lifting weights. You don't do that. You have to go and get the cardio in, right? And that's something that that I put forth for myself, but it's also benefited my sons as well, because they're all very athletic, right? And they understand the cardio is important, so they make sure that they get it in. So that's another thing. Oh, here's another one. This is something that came up since we moved to Tulsa, is snow, right? Because we lived in Arizona for 12 years, and snow was not a thing. But what I found out was the first time that we had to deal with snow here in Oklahoma was, well, I didn't want to shovel the snow. And I'm like, my kids, they're not going out and shoveling snow. So I put it off. And what happened was is that pretty soon you have like a nice little skating rink in your front walkway or on your front porch. That's not a good look, right? And then one time we had it where We didn't shovel the snow, and we had ice in the driveway. And so basically, our house sits a little bit below street level. And so my driveway angles in. And what happened was you couldn't get the cars out of the garage or out of the driveway because they were covered in ice. That's what happens when you put things off. There's a cumulative effect to the things that you don't want to do. And what I'm trying to explain to you, what I'm trying to help you with, is to deal with the things so that they don't snowball. And if you do that, what'll happen is, even though this will be a thing that you don't like, you're not really crazy about doing, but because you've knocked it out, there's no cumulative effect. You've dealt with it in the moment, and now it's past. And you move on, and you get to do the things that you really want to do. Another thing too is that, again, I like to write. I like to do these videos and things like that. And I can't write if my to-do list is still not checked off. Because as much as I'd like to, now here's another thing too. Let me say this, right? Sometimes you can take a pause from the things that you don't want to do the things that you want to do, to give yourself a break. And I highly recommend doing that, because this is something that that helps me out too during the day. As I'm working, I'll say, okay, I need to take a break, and I'm going to write 200 words, because that's something that I love doing. Or I'm going to write out some ideas for videos, right? Something that Aaron Tomlinson and I could talk about on Freeology Friday, or something that I could talk about on Forward Live, or something that I could talk about on my live stream on TikTok, any one of those things. But I take time from work to do that, and then I'll come back to work. But before I do that, I want to make sure that the most difficult things are knocked out. Always, always, always make sure the difficult is done. Now, hopefully, some of this helps some of you. And again, I would love to get your comments either via inbox or in the comments. And if you're watching this on YouTube, on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram, that if you like what you hear, make sure you subscribe. If you're on YouTube, make sure you click the bell so that you get notifications of when I go live, and check these things out, right? And if this is something that helps you, please consider sharing it with others, right? Because sharing is caring. And if something helps you, because I'm going to talk about this in another episode about the true meaning of success, because when you find something that helps you become successful, it's incumbent upon you to help others. That's the measure of true success. That's the thumbnail sketch of this. So that's pretty much it for now. Be sure to check out Freeology Friday. When Aaron Tomlinson and I come back next Friday, we're going to be talking about Ask Aaron and Derrick Anything, and it should be fun. We're going to put the link out to the to our restream, so that if you want to join in and ask your question, you can do that, or you can just put it in the comments in the chat, and we'll take it on. Also, be sure to check out Ben Urban and Daryl Carlson tonight. They'll be going live at about 7 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you check them out. And Jimmy Ligon, he's on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central Time. So all of these people, you want to make sure you check out these really awesome shows, and just dig in, get some stuff, get some education, some edification, some entertainment, whatever this is. But as I said, thank you for attending my TED Talk. May you be happy, may you be well, may you be filled with peace. Talk to you later.